Kia ora koutou. Recently, a very dear friend of mine said that I reminded them of Elizabeth from the Bible. And I know that can mean all sorts of things, but I thought it would be fun to unpack who the Elizabeth of the Bible was. Now, Elizabeth was most commonly recognized, or is most commonly recognized, as the mother of John the Baptist. But there are other aspects of that title which I wanted to dig into. And firstly, she was the wife of a priest in the temple, and the priest's name was Zechariah, and she was also the cousin of Mary, the mother of Jesus. Now, in Luke chapter 1, verse 6, Elizabeth and Zechariah were actually said to be righteous and blameless people who walked in the commandments of the Lord. And this is an interesting statement because when we're actually first introduced to Elizabeth, she is barren. And at the time, being barren would be a source of huge shame for her. And many people may have blamed her barrenness on some sort of sin or something that she wasn't doing correctly or not having enough faith in her life. So, hearing that God considered Elizabeth and her husband to be righteous and blameless, this sort of takes away that's, I guess, that reason for why she is barren. The other thing that is important to note at this particular time, that Elizabeth was well past the age where bearing children was something that could naturally be done. And so when uh, Elizabeth found herself to be pregnant, it was a real miracle. And she actually kept herself in seclusion for 5 months. And in Luke 1, verse 25, she talks about the Lord having done this, made her pregnant for me. And in these days, he's shown his favor and taken away my disgrace among the people. So you really start to see that barrenness being turned around and that shame that is associated with it being turned around as well. The next time that we see Elizabeth, just a little bit later in Luke, she gets a visit from Mary, and they are both pregnant, although Mary hasn't told anybody that she's pregnant. And Elizabeth's baby actually leaps in her womb. And Elizabeth is filled with the Holy Spirit. And in a loud voice, she exclaims, "Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the child you will bear. But why am I so favored that the mother of my Lord should come to me? As soon as the sound of your greeting reached my ears, the baby in my womb leapt for joy. Blessed is she who has believed that the Lord would fulfill his promises to her." And we see that if you want to go and read that, that's actually Luke 1, verses 41 to 45. So the Holy Spirit told Elizabeth of Mary's condition even before Mary could say a word. The next time that we see Elizabeth, again, a little bit further on in Luke, Elizabeth has given birth, and she and her husband are taking John up to be circumcised. And her husband, so Zechariah, is actually mute and can't speak. And so Elizabeth actually declares that her son's name is John. And she is being faithful to the instructions or the prophecy that God gave Zechariah. And because he obviously couldn't speak at the time, Elizabeth declared it. And the reason that Zechariah was actually struck mute was that he laughed at God's prophecy in saying that he and Elizabeth would conceive a child. There is very, very little else known about Elizabeth. That really just Luke 1 is the only time in the Bible that you actually see her mentioned. But I have to say, after unpacking her character a little bit from the Bible, I was like, what a compliment from my friend. Because who wouldn't want to experience a miracle like that? and have an abundance of faith by declaring her son's name to be John. And then also, I guess, to be known even before she becomes pregnant as being righteous and blameless by God. And I guess perhaps might see that because that's sort of in that period, just at the start of the New Testament, before Jesus came, that was something that they could achieve themselves. But we can, as Christians, we have a way to becoming righteous and blameless before God as well. But our way is not through any works that we do, but it is through the blood of Jesus that we are seen as being righteous and blameless before God. So just some really interesting facts there about Elizabeth and how she's presented in Luke, and you might just want to mull over some of those. Mā te wā.